Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Get ready to laugh with episodes of Fibber McGee and Molly, The Jimmy Durante Show, My Favorite Husband starring Lucille Ball, Phil Harris-Alice Faye, and Claudia. That's all straight ahead here on this Sunday. This is the 7th day of January, and 359 days remaining till we get to 2025. Yes, we're already counting it down. Fire destroyed Jamestown, Virginia on this date in 1608. The first American commercial bank opened on this date in 1782, the Bank of North America. The distress signal CQD established on this date in 1904. 2 years later, it would be replaced by SOS, a lot easier. Let's see. George Gershwin completed Rhapsody in Blue on this date in 1924. The first transatlantic telephone call, New York City to London in 1927. President Truman announced the U.S. had developed a hydrogen bomb. Georgetown IBM experiment on this date in 1954, the first public demonstration of a machine translation system held in New York at the head office of IBM. In 1959, the U.S. recognized the new Cuban government of Fidel Castro. 1979, Phnom Penh fell to the advancing Vietnamese troops, driving out Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. The Leaning Tower of Pisa closed to the public on this date in 1990 due to safety concerns. And while the tower is open again, it still leans. The impeachment trial of President Clinton began on this date in 1999. Of course, he would not be convicted. And in 2023, the longest House of Representatives Speaker election since the December 1859, February 1860 Speaker election concluded, Kevin McCarthy elected the 55th Speaker of the House, but he would be ousted 9 months later. Passing away on this date in history, football player Bronco Nagurski, actor Avery Schreiber, and Kitty Callan. Little things mean a lot. Birthdays today include President Millard Fillmore, Alfred in the 60s Batman, Alan Napier, musician Red Allen, Butterfly McQueen, fine actress, cartoonist Charles Addams, the creator of the Addams Family, musician Paul Revere of Paul Revere and the Raiders, and Dustin Diamond Screech from Saved by the Bell, who died at the age of 44 from cancer.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Maury Povich, you are not the father, 85 years old today. Singer Kenny Loggins is 76. From Buck Rogers and Silver Spoons, Aaron Gray, 74. From NYPD Blue and CSI Miami, David Caruso, 68. Katie Couric, 67. Nicolas Cage, 60. From Walking Dead and Boondock Saints, Norman Reedus is 55. From the Country Act, Big and Rich, John Rich is 50. From One Republic, Ryan Tedder is 45. From The Walking Dead, Lauren Cohen is 42, as is Fantastic Beasts actor Eddie Redmayne. He is 42. And from Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, Liam Aiken is 34. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 7th day of January as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And up first on this expedition of classic radio theater with Wyatt Cox, we head to Wistful Vista, 79 to be precise, see what's going on in the household of Fibber McGee and Molly. That's up first here on this Sunday classic radio theater with Wyatt Cox.
Hello, this is Dennis James. Civil defense preparedness is important to all of us living in today's nuclear age. For information on what you can do to protect your home and family, here is a message from Leo A. Hoy, Director of the Office of Civil and Defense Mobilization.
For civil defense preparedness, you should know and take action on 5 fundamentals. Know your warning signals and what they mean. Know your community plan for emergency action. Know how to protect yourself from radioactive fallout. Construct a shelter and equip it with food, water, and other emergency supplies. Know first aid and home emergency measures. Know how to use Counterrad 640 or 1240 for official directions during an attack. These instructions are available to you on a convenient wallet-sized card. You can obtain one at your local civil defense office.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Sunday, let's go back to a Tuesday, 77 years ago, January 7th, 1947. Wistful Vista is where we head to check out the household of Fibber McGee and Molly. January 7th, 1947.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. Makers of Johnson's Wax Products for home and industry present Fibber McGee and Molly with Bill Thompson, Gail Gordon, Arthur Q. Bryan, and me, Harlow Wilcox. The script is by Don Quinn and Phil Leslie. Music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. You know, times certainly change. Do you remember how our grandmothers tried to keep linoleum floors clean by continually scrubbing them? And how they used to litter the floor with newspapers while it was drying? It was an awful mess. And what did that scrubbing accomplish anyway? It was hard work. It never protected the linoleum. In fact, in time, cracks appeared. The linoleum split and had to be renewed. But that was before the days of Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat. You'll never have a floor problem again once you start protecting your kitchen floors with this easy-to-use wax floor polish. Glow Coat needs no rubbing or buffing. It's self-polishing. It dries in 20 minutes, leaving your floors sparkling with beauty and thoroughly wax-protected against scratches, dirt, and wear. Its colors clear and fresh. And floors are so easy to keep looking nice with Glow Coat. Try it, won't you? But look, for a really bright shine, be sure to use Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat. They say that homing pigeons flying over a radio tower get confused and lose their way. That's what they get for being so nosy. The smarter pigeons stay home and listen to the radio in their own little nests. In this case, the nest is at 79 Wistful Vista. And our little feathered friends are Fibber McGee and Molly.
Boy, this new radio is sure an improvement over our old one, isn't it, Molly?
Almost have to be, dearie.
Mm-hmm.
All we could get on the old one was static. And then only under favorable conditions.
Well, this one's a Lulu, kiddo. Wonderful tone, clear as a bell. Listen to it.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Whoopsie, doopsie, soapsie, flakesy, bright and washy day. Oh!
Let's throw it out and use the old one.
Oh, I can get better stuff. I had Fred Waring this morning in the 76 Pennsylvanians.
He has 67, dearie.
Sounds like 76 on this radio. Now, let me see. I think
And
WGI...
so ends another thrilling chapter of Esther Marblehead's dilemma. Will Esther marry Clint Doppelwhite, the bubblegum salesman? Or will she go back to running a Badger game with her schoolgirl sweetheart, Black Label Barton?
That's an interesting program if you don't take it too seriously.
I like it. Everybody in it has so much grief, it makes my life look pretty rosy. One time
Tune in again tomorrow at the same time for another juicy hunk of Life in the Raw, brought to you by a sponsor who naturally prefers to remain anonymous. Your announcer is Mushmouth Glibwell, who was born in 1902, so he could be with you at this more convenient time.
Isn't that a swell tone, Molly? Best radio set we ever had.
Why do they call them sets, dearie? They're all in one piece.
No, it didn't used to be. My first radio set was 2 yards of bakelite with 18 dials, 3 batteries, a morning glory horn, 4 headphones, and a pair of overshoes.
Overshoes? What were they for?
So I could run next door in the winter and tell the neighbors I had England on the short wave.
Heavenly days. Did you really tune in England?
No, I just thought I had them. There was some stuff that looked like tea running out of the radio, but it was only a melted wire. Now, let me see. There ought to be a newscast about now.
And now for the local news, brought to you by Capistrano, the root beer with the swallows that come back. Capistrano root beer has that extra tangy goodness which is so good at parties, on picnics, and used in squirt guns against vicious dogs.
Come on. Give us the news.
And now, news. The greatest manhunt this city has seen in years is being pressed throughout the downtown area this morning in an effort by city, state, and county police to corner the 4 desperados who shot their way out of state prison, leaving a toll of 4 dead and 3 wounded.
My gosh.
Isn't that terrible?
In a running gun battle with city police early today, the gunmen abandoned their getaway car near the railroad yards and are believed to be in hiding on the south side of town.
You ought to drag out the throw net.
It's throw out the dragnet.
These escaped convicts are desperate killers, and the police department urgently requests that women and children stay off the streets until they're captured.
Why should anybody want to capture the women and children?
He means the desperados.
Oh. Just imagine 4 desperate killers loose in Wistful Vista. I won't sleep a wink tonight, dearie.
I wonder if I ought to go down and volunteer my services to the police.
My hero.
On the other hand, my first duty is to stay here and protect you.
My husband.
Oh, if I got... Maybe, though, if I got out my old shotgun.
My goodness.
Don't go to the door, Molly. Don't answer. It might be them criminals.
Well, why should they go around ringing doorbells? This isn't Halloween. Come in. You see, dearie, it's only Mr. Wimple.
Hello, folks.
Hi, Wimp. Hey, you hadn't ought to be out on the streets today. Don't you know that?
You mean on account of the way I look? This black eye and all these bruises and everything?
Well, now that you speak of it, Mr. Wimple, you are sort of banged up, aren't you?
Did them desperados do it, Wimp?
No, Mr. McGee. Sweetie Face did it. Sweetie Face, that's my big old wife.
Yeah, we know. But why'd she do that to you?
Well, we were driving along in the car, and I was driving, and Sweetie Face was in the back seat, and she kept saying, Wallace, get going. Wallace, slow down. Wallace, look out for that truck. Wallace, be careful.
Yeah, and then what?
Well, I finally turned around and said, anytime you get tired, honey, I'll drive a while. Next thing I knew, I was in the back of a drugstore drinking ammonia.
You'd better be careful, Wimp. There's 4 killers loose in town. Desperate murderers. They'll bump you off on sight.
Are they all men?
Well, yes, they are.
Well, who's afraid of just men? I'm going out in the woods with my bird book, and I'd like to see anybody stop me.
With your what, Wimp?
My bird book. I'm going out and watch birds today.
Mr. Wimple, is there any real future in bird watching? What do you expect to get out of it?
Well, eventually, I hope to go in business with my brother, Mrs. McGee. He's a storekeeper.
Storekeeper, eh? What does he sell?
He doesn't sell anything. He keeps storks. Well, goodbye.
Storekeeper. My gosh.
Turn the radio on again, McGee. I want to see what's happened.
Okay, but I hope they don't call for volunteers to help catch them mugs. I'd feel I had to go, me being a war veteran. World War I. The big war.
Go ahead, turn it on.
Okay, but I hope they corner those.
Their way out of a police trap near the post office and escaped in a stolen car. All roads leading out of the city are being blocked, and a posse of citizens is being formed at the city hall.
Boy, I'd join that posse in a minute if I didn't have to go to New York on business.
What business?
I don't know, but I'll think of something.
The police commissioner has just issued a plea for all able-bodied war veterans and retired police officers to come to the city hall immediately, armed if possible. Keep tuned to this station for further...
All able-bodied men, he said. Well, looks like I'd have to do my duty.
Oh, no, McGee, not you. Those men are dangerous. Why, you might... No!
Well, come to think of it, able-bodied means perfect health. And that ingrown toenail I got on my left foot. Hey, what am I saying? You wouldn't want me to be a coward, would you? Or would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't, eh? You don't put up much of a fight, do you? Oh, where's my double-barreled shotgun? My gosh, I loaned that gun to Wimple just before Christmas, didn't I? Ha-ha, I can't go. No shotgun.
He brought it back last week, dearie.
What? Why, that dirty little... I'll never lend him anything again as long as I live. Well, where is it?
Right here in the hall closet.
Okay. I really ought to stay home and clean out that closet.
Billy Mills and the orchestra and Canadian Capers.
I got my double-barreled shotgun, a box of shells, an air raid warden's helmet, a mess kit, a pair of handcuffs.
Handcuffs? Where on earth did you get some handcuffs?
They come with that box of magic tricks. Remember the time I put on the magic act at the Elks Club and I had somebody lock me in these handcuffs? And I had the key hidden in my mouth where I could drop it into my hand, and Doc Gamble slapped me on the back and says, "Good luck, boy," and I swallowed the key. Remember?
Yes, I do. And how did you get out of the handcuffs?
Held up my arms and let them slide down to my shoulders and took them off over my hips.
Why, McGee, that's impossible.
Not if you know magic. Now, let me see. Better take a flashlight.
McGee, now, you're not going to stay out after dark with those desperados in town.
Of course, if you're worried, Snooky, I'll stay home. You are worried, aren't you? Okay, I'll stay home.
No. No, dearie. I won't have you making any such sacrifice for me. You go join the posse.
I know what I'll do. I'll call the police. I'll tell them I'll take charge of this district, and my headquarters will be right here, and if they want me for anything, they can come.
Come in. Oh, hello, Dr. Gamble. Do come in.
Hello, my dear. And how are you today, turtle brain?
Hi, kidney snooper. How's everything in the world of medicine, as if you'd know? Your medical education having ended when you discovered that baldness was caused by lack of hair.
McGee, now don't talk that way to the doctor. He's forgotten more than you ever remembered.
Let him talk, my dear. He fascinates me. How a man with a brain so small can talk so big is something I like to puzzle over on long winter evenings.
The evenings wouldn't seem so long, Melon Belt, if you'd get married. Why don't you and Fifi Tremaine get hitched?
McGee, now, it's really none of our business, you know. But why didn't you ever get married, Doctor?
I've been trying to find a woman with whom no other woman could find any fault. It's about as foolproof a way to stay single as any I know.
Well, as long as you got no responsibilities, skin grafter, why don't you go down to City Hall and join the posse?
What posse?
Heavenly days, didn't you hear the news, Doctor? There are 4 escaped convicts hiding out on the south side, and the police are asking all able-bodied men to help find them.
Able-bodied, lard hips. Means being able to cross your legs without using the block and tackle. Let you out.
Look, custard muscle. Remarks about other people's physical condition come badly from you.
Well, I didn't...
You yourself have the fresh, ruddy complexion of a soiled tennis ball.
Yeah, but
your chest is flatter than a sharecropper's wallet.
Yeah, but he only...
Your lungs are so full of nicotine they won't even let you blow up the balloons for the Elks' parties. Your arches are flatter than yesterday's beer, and if you were ever boiled down for fat, you'd make enough cheap soap to scour the Lincoln Highway from Turkey Run, Indiana to Buffalo Hump, Wyoming.
Oh, now listen, I don't
Furthermore, if you'll excuse the interruption, my dear.
That's all right.
Little Scorpion Face here has about as much resilience as a flophouse mattress and the dynamic energy of cold oatmeal. Shall I continue, Wagon Tongue, or does that give you a faint idea of your limitations?
Did you say you didn't know anything about those escaped convicts, Doctor? Or the big manhunt?
No, but that's hardly surprising. I delivered 4 babies before breakfast, did 3 tonsillectomies before lunch, and x-rayed a bear just before I left the hospital.
You x-rayed a bear, Doctor? A grizzly bear?
No, one of the Chicago bears. Swallowed his nose guard in a scrimmage. Be careful if you go chasing gangsters, McGee. You're overweight even without a skin full of buckshot. Good day, my dear.
They will, too, let me blow up the balloons for the Elks' party.
But you will be careful, won't you, dearie? You won't come home full of buckshot, will you?
No, of course not. Hey, turn the radio on. Let's see if they caught them guys. If they have, I won't have to
All
go.
right. My radio's a wonderful invention. You can hear more things to worry about in 5 minutes than our grandparents heard in 5 weeks. It's almost...
And that concludes another thrilling episode in the life of Marcia Tumbleweed, girl acrobat. Will Sly Dolliver return the turquoise Hoover button to the FBI in time to prevent Shanghai Lil from dynamiting the haunted cafeteria where John's other brother is slowly drowning in a vat of clam chowder? Tune in again tomorrow at this same time. Or if you really want to hear it, 15 minutes earlier.
Remind me to tune in on Marcia Tumbleweed, McGee.
Me too, a turquoise Hoover button.
And now, our surprise guest for today, a man who needs no introduction, so I'll give him to you cold.
Thank you, George. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnson's self-polishing glow coat is the easiest to use polish for your kitchen linoleum you can buy.
My goodness, that sounds like Mr. Wilcox.
Sure does. I wonder if he's...
Johnson's glow coat needs no rubbing or buffing. Just pour a little out, spread it around, and presto.
Try another station, McGee.
Here's one.
And presto, a sparkling, gleaming linoleum that resists wear and stains. That's clean and easy to keep clean. Johnson's self-polishing glow coat eliminates...
Can't be all over the dial. Here.
Glow coat eliminates old-fashioned floor scrubbing.
It's waxy again.
He must have poured himself out and spread himself around.
Try Johnson's self-polishing glow coat today, girls. Remember, the hours you save in the kitchen, you can use to be bewitching. And now, a news bulletin.
Here it is.
Good.
Attention, please. The governor has offered a reward of $10,000 for the capture of the 4 escaped convicts who have been terrorizing the community since dawn this morning. $10,000 dead or alive.
Hot dog, 10 grand.
Listen.
The Police are still requesting armed citizens, ex-servicemen, and retired police officers to join the posse. Report at the City Hall for assignments. Keep tuned to this station.
That does it, Molly. I see my duty now. $10,000. I gotta join that posse. Hand me my air raid warden's helmet.
Here you are. What are all those dents in it?
I wear this to play golf on the public links. Some of them sharpshooters can knock your teeth out at 400 yards. Where's my flashlight?
Here, but there's no battery in it.
Good. Makes a wonderful cigar case. Where's my hunting knife?
It's upstairs, dearie. I'll go get it. Now, don't leave without telling me, will you?
Okay, Mommy, I won't. Ah, there goes a good kid. She knows I'm scared stiff to join this posse, but will she say anything? Not her. She's got principle. I'd be just as glad if she didn't have so dad-ratted much of it, too. She'd only ask me to stay home and protect... Come in.
Hi, mister.
Oh, hi, sis. Hey, you shouldn't be out on the streets today, Teeny. It's too dangerous.
Gee, I'll say so, mister.
Betcha.
The way people drive is just terrible.
What?
My daddy says walking may be healthy, but a lot of pedestrians wind up in a run-down condition.
I wasn't referring to traffic conditions, sis. There are 4 very desperate characters loose in this town. They're killers. Get in their way and you'd get bumped off like a jockey with boils.
Oh, nobody'd hurt the little girl, I betcha. Everybody likes little children because they're so unsophisticated.
So what?
That's what I say, mister, so what? Gee, I bet you if anybody...
Wait a minute. What was that you said? Little children are so what?
Unsophisticated.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I said, yeah, that was it.
That was what?
That was what you said.
What?
Unsophisticated. What was that again?
Unsophisticated?
That's it.
What about it?
Oh, skip it. No. I was just amused. Now, look, Teeny, you better run along home till we get things straightened out around here. I don't want you to worry about it now, but, well, some men broke out of jail, you see.
Oh.
Yeah, now, I shouldn't have mentioned it to you in the first place. It's nothing for a child to worry about at all, but...
Oh. Are they real bad men, mister? Are they,
Pretty bad, Teeny. These are men who broke out of prison. Now, but skip it. It's nothing a little girl like you would even understand. Now, you run along home now, and you stay there.
Okay, mister. If this is one of those deals where a bunch of lifers throw a heater on the coppers in the bullpen, raid the gun rack, and blast their way out of storage with a Tommy gun, I want no part of it anyhow.
What?
Because if they're the kind of stirrebirds that chop down a harness bowl with a typewriter and try to beat the rap by taking it on the lam for the big town in a hot car, I'm going to scram till the heat's off. I'll be home under the bed, mister. So long.
Still think that kid's a midget.
Here are the King's Men singing My Pretty Girl.
My pretty girl, I'm always dreaming of you. My pretty girl, my darling, how I love you. Promise me you will never leave me. Promise me you will never grieve me. Promise me you will not deceive me. Oh, my pretty girl, please give me just one kiss. One sweet kiss you won't miss. For your kiss brings such bliss to my lonely heart. Oh, my pretty girl, my pretty girl, you're charming and entrancing. My pretty girl, high in the clouds I'm dancing. As we dance, cuddle up and squeeze me. As we dance, cuddle up and please me. As we dance, cuddle up and tease me. Oh, my pretty girl, dance with me through the night. Let my arms hold you tight, and with dawn's early light, let me take you home. My pretty girl, I'm always dreaming of you. My pretty girl, my darling, how I love you. Promise me you will never leave me. Promise me you will never grieve me. Promise me you will not deceive me.
here I go to join the manhunt, Molly. Have I got everything?
No, you haven't got the kitchen sink, but that's about the only thing you're not carrying.
This posse business is a serious thing. A man can't have too much equipment. Let me see now. My flashlight, shotgun, handcuffs, my scalp knife, rope, sun helmet, and show snooze.
Sun helmet and snowshoes.
You betcha, snowshoes. When McGee gets on a man's trail, he follows it through desert heat and Arctic snow. Now, McGee never gives up. Well, here I go.
Good luck, dearie.
Thank you. I wonder if I've forgotten anything. I
I don't know what it would be.
wonder if I ought to take some jelly sandwiches. No, I guess not. Well, so long, kiddo.
Goodbye, McGee.
You sure you won't be afraid? All alone in the house.
Not a bit.
I feel like a dog leading you here alone and unprotected. Matter of fact, a dog wouldn't be guilty of such behavior. Do I want to be more disloyal than a dog? No, by George. I'll stay here and fight at the side of the woman I love. With my back to the wall, I'll fight to the last.
Ouch! What's the matter?
Had my back to the wall, and there was a nail in the woodwork. Remind me to have that.
Come in. Well, for goodness sakes, Mayor Latrivia. Good day, Your Honor.
Good day, Mrs. McGee. Hello, McGee.
Hi, Latrivia.
What are you all equipped for, McGee? If you're going to establish a covered wagon trail to California, you're too late. The railroad has gone through.
He was going to join the posse, Mr. Mayor.
Posse? What posse?
What do you mean, what posse? What kind of a half-baked mayor are you, Latrivia? Half the town's scared to death of some escaped killers, and the mayor himself don't know anything about it. A fine state of how do you do.
How do you do?
Fine, thanks. How's it? Quit interrupting. Where you been, Latrivia? Don't you know they've issued an emergency call for every able-bodied man to get himself a gun and join the posse?
You don't know anything about that, Mr. Mayor?
Why, no. I've been out of town all day and haven't checked with my office. Why, this is terrible. What's it all about, McGee? Brief me. Briefly.
Early this morning, Latriv, 4 lifers crashed out of the state pokey, knocked off the guard, stole a car, shot their way out of several police traps, holed up now on the south side of town. 10 grand reward for them, dead or alive.
Good heavens. I'd better get right down to City Hall and get that hunt organized. Come on, McGee. Let's go.
Okay, Latriv. Wait till I polish up my shotgun a while longer.
Wait. There's no time to wait, McGee. I'm going. If you're afraid to come along, I'll go alone.
What? You think I'm going to stand here and let our mayor go out on that street without protection, do you?
Good for you, dearie.
Risk the life of our city's chief executive? Let him walk into them gangsters alone and unprotected? No, sir.
Thank you, McGee.
Here, you take my shotgun. I'll stay here and phone the city hall later to see if you made it.
Great Scott, man. This is no time to argue. This is a crisis. What are we, anyway? Men or mice?
Oh, sit down, both of you, and I'll fix you some cheese sandwiches.
Yes, that'll be a... No. Where did you get this information anyhow, McGee?
Where did I get it? On my new radio. My gosh, it's been on the radio all day. Turn it on again, Mom.
All right. Maybe they've caught the gangsters, but...
Latest on the big manhunt, folks. The escaped convicts are trapped in a loft building in the warehouse district.
There.
Police have the building surrounded, and chemical experts are on their way to the scene with tear gas.
Betcha.
Stay tuned to this station for further developments. This is station WHPO, Fort Worth, Texas.
Texas? Oh, dear.
Take off your helmet, officer. Your crime wave is washed up.
Texas. Oh, this is wonderful.
Have you a long list of good resolutions this year? If you're like me, you have plenty of material to work on. But I can't refrain from tossing just one at you in case you haven't realized the work you can save by adopting the wax housekeeping method. I'm sure you've heard me say before that Johnson's Wax is more than a product for beautifying your home. It's a labor-saving way of keeping house. By regular applications of Johnson's Wax to your floors, furniture, and woodwork, you not only protect these surfaces against wear and tear, you also keep your home cleaner all year and save yourself lots of work. Of course, you know how lovely Johnson's Wax makes things look. Everything it touches glows and sparkles with beauty. Johnson's Wax gives a rich, mellow polish to everything from floors to leather articles, from Venetian blinds to radios and 100 other things. Try this wonderful wax method of housekeeping. Resolve right now to have a bright, shining home this year with less work, using genuine Johnson's Wax. You'll want to use all 3 forms, paste, liquid, and cream.
fooling around, dearie, just because you couldn't join the posse.
Oh, it ain't that. I'm still sore at Doc Gamble.
Why now?
He said if I hadn't met any gangsters, they'd have picked me off like a sitting duck.
Well, why should that make you angry?
He said with my shape, it'd be a natural mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Good night.
Good night, Doc.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax Products for Home and Industry, inviting you to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Wonder if that radio was the same one that Fibber McGee used in that radio show in the 70s. When he dialed the radio back and they got all the great old radio shows. I mean, that radio, went back in time. This radio just was a long-distance radio. 77 years ago, January 7th, 1947, Fibber McGee and Molly. The Jimmy Durante Show is up next without Jimmy, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Yellow and black and rectangular.
Rectangular, yes. And what else?
Well, Doctor, it has kind of wedge shapes inside.
Yellow, black, and with wedge shapes inside.
Oh, I see them everywhere. Everywhere. Do you hear me?
Well, there, Mrs. Edwards. Just lie back on the couch.
What does it mean? Am I losing my mind?
Mrs. Edwards, my professional diagnosis is quite simple.
Oh, thank you, Doctor.
What you have been seeing everywhere you look are those yellow and black signs installed by Civil Defense.
Oh.
They're the yellow and black signs used to indicate a fallout shelter in buildings.
Yes.
Every building that displays that yellow and black sign has an approved shelter, many stocked with supplies.
So you see these signs too, Dr. Black?
Why, sure, Mrs. Edwards.
Oh, well, I feel better already.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 76 years to January 7th of 1948, an episode of the Jimmy Durante Show. Jimmy's still recuperating in hospital, and so a guest host, Bob Hope, along with Victor Moore as guest star.
Good health to all from Rexall. From Hollywood, it's the Jimmy Durante Show. Yes, 10,000 Rexall drugstores who carry the complete line of top-quality Rexall drug products bring you the Jimmy Durante Show with Peggy Lee, Candy Candido, Roy Bargy and his orchestra, yours truly, Howard Petrie, and Jimmy's guest star, Victor Moore. Folks, you'll be glad to hear that Jimmy's recuperating nicely and will be back on the show in 2 weeks. But volunteering his services to stand in for Jimmy tonight is his good friend and your good friend, one of America's great personalities, Bob Hope.
Thank you very much, Howard. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob substituting for Jimmy Durante Hope, telling all you lovers, use Pepsodent with the girls and you'll be a smash. If you don't, you'll end up going steady with Mrs. Calabash. Well, I'm happy about filling in for Durante tonight while he's recuperating. I dropped over to see Jimmy this afternoon. As I walked through the door, one beautiful nurse was holding his hand, another was stroking his forehead, and the third was running her fingers through his hair. I think he'll be a long time convalescing. But Jimmy is really getting the best of care. While I was there, one of the doctors popped in, took one look at him and said, this patient looks fine. And he pointed to Jimmy's schnoz and said, but I'm afraid the baby's a little overweight. That's what he said. Yes, sir. But they operated on Jimmy New Year's Eve. They wouldn't let me stay for the opening, so I went down and saw the opening. Is that good? I didn't figure on anything there. I love gravy. So I went down for the opening of Road to Rio at the Paramount. I thought I got around to that pretty cute, too. Boy, what a night to hold a premiere. One drunk stepped up to the ticket winner. The girl started pressing the ticket button. He said, here's $5 for the kitty. Play Old Lang Syne. Should have stayed with my opening. Everything was going great until they flashed down the scene where Crosby and I take the boat for South America. Just as the boat was pulling out of the picture, 3 drunks ran up to the screen, yelled "Bon voyage," and tried to climb aboard. I wouldn't exactly say that people were having fun in the theater, but Crosby, Lamore, and I stopped what we were doing on the screen to watch a couple in the balcony. And there was a bad accident out front when a drunk drove his car right into the theater. He thought the road to Rio was a shortcut to Azusa. Which one you working on? All the celebrities turned out for the opening. Clark Gable was there, but they wouldn't let him in. He had 25 bags of popcorn. The limit is 4. He came formal, and that's the first time I ever saw a tuxedo with feathers sticking out of the back. Imagine $200 for 6 ducks. Well, it's still cheaper than you can get them at the butcher shop. And I ran into Frank Morgan in the lobby. He was complaining that his fine should have been $100 instead of $200. His ducks were only half shot. Thank you, Seagrams. What an audience. What an audience in that theater. I was telling my biggest jokes on the screen, and I heard a guy crying, so I went over, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "Look, friend, drunkenness is a curse. Why don't you join Alcoholics Anonymous?" He said, "I did yesterday. This picture is part of the cure." And when Crosby was singing his big number, a drunk staggered into the theater, down the aisle, put one foot up on the orchestra rail and yelled, "Stop that yapping, bartender, and get me a scotch and soda." But the Paramount wasn't the only theater having trouble with the customers on New Year's Eve. It was so bad at the hitching post, Roy Rogers and the Indians got together and started shooting back at the audience.
Say, Bobby, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's a man here to see Jimmy, and he says it's very important. It's Jimmy's old pal, Mr. Ripple, the United States Commissioner of Rivers and Waterways.
Oh, well, I'll talk to him. Glad to meet you, Mr. Ripple. How do you do? Shut that sewer. This guy must be a Republican. His conversation comes out kind of dewy. I'm sorry, Mr. Ripple. Jimmy isn't here tonight, but maybe I can help you.
Well, we're having a lot of trouble with the reservoir.
Would you mind adjusting your nozzle and sprinkling that line at me again?
I said we're having a lot of trouble with the reservoir.
This kid must have been running uphill. His radiator is boiling over. Well, what's the trouble with the reservoir? I did it! What do you hear from Listerine?
Well, Mr. Hope, the water mains are all clogged up with salmon who get caught going upstream to spoon.
You mean to spawn?
No, spoon. I'm talking about the ones that aren't married.
That's what I like about fish jokes. When they lay eggs, they lay caviar.
If this is serious, Mr. Hope, how can I keep the salmon from clogging up the water mains?
Well, I could lend you Jerry Colonna. You could use his mustache as a strainer. As a strainer. Let me try to save it, will you, please? I'm shift in a second. Go ahead. It's all right.
Mr. Hope, when you first went on the air, I thought you were very funny. And after hearing you tonight, I've only got one thing to say.
What's that?
Thanks for the memory.
I'm glad he left. He caught me without my water wings.
Well, what happens now, Bob?
Well, Howard, it was nice meeting you and Mr. Ripple, but I've listened to this program many times, and the person I'm particularly anxious to meet is Peggy Lee. I understand she's a girl.
Hello, Bob.
That proves it. Peggy Lee. Oh, Peggy, you're a vision of feminine pulchritude. The writers forgot Durante wasn't on the program this week.
Well, thanks for the pretty words, hey. You're looking pretty good yourself. In fact, I don't remember when I've seen you looking so good.
Yes, I am looking good. When I've seen enough, I'll stop looking. You know, Peggy, let's work this way, huh? These boys think right. You know, Peggy, I have a collection of your records at home, and I think they're wonderful.
Well, thank you, Bob. But wouldn't it be great if we had a record with you on one side and me on the other?
Yeah, and then maybe some night I could crawl through that little hole in the record and get over to your side. Say, how about a little sample of what I'd find over on your side, Peggy?
Well, I've got a little arrangement here of I'll Dance at Your Wedding.
Sing it, Peggy, and sing it pretty. Jimmy's listening.
I'll dance. Oh, yes, I'll dance at your wedding. I'll dance at your wedding. I'll dance at your wedding. I'll have a wonderful time. I'll drink to your father. I'll drink to your mother. Then I'll have another for all lang syne. I'll kiss all the bachelors, the young and old, and then I'll have myself another drink and kiss them all again. I'll dance at your wedding. I won't miss that wedding. I'll dance at your wedding. Am I gonna shine at your wedding and mine? I can have my something borrowed, something old and something new. Everybody will kiss the bride, but I'll save a few for you. I'll dance at your wedding. I won't miss that wedding. I'll dance at your wedding. Am I gonna shine at your wedding and mine?
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Yes, you can be sure that more than 2,000 different drug products are pure when they bear the name Rexall. For the familiar name Rexall stands for purity, quality, and reliability in a complete line of drug products. It's no wonder that Rexall has won first place in the medicine cabinets of millions of American homes. So for any and for all of your drug needs, always buy Rexall at Rexall drugstores throughout the nation, where 25% of America buys its drug products.
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Good health to all from Rexall.
What a nice commercial. It makes me homesick for Miriam. But let's see what's next on the sheet here.
Pardon me, Mr. Hope. I'm Candy.
This is Candy. His head must have one of those hard centers.
Well, I want to read a little poem I wrote when I heard you were going to be on the show. Well, go ahead.
Now I know what made Durante ill.
Well, it goes like this. There's one outstanding feature on all our radio shows. First Durante, now it's Hope.
I'm feeling mighty low.
He makes a lovely couple, doesn't he? Sounds like the mating voice of a virus X germ. But ready right here now to join me in the pinch hit spot for the schnoz is one of his good friends from show business, the glamorous, dashing, romantic star of the corset crowd, Victor Moore, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here with you, my old pal, Jimmy Durante.
Now hold it, please. I'm not Jimmy Durante, but you're close. This is what Durante would look like if his nose had developed a puncture. But surely, Victor, you know who I am. Listen to this. Thanks for the memory.
Oh, now I know you. You're Hildegard.
I'd better get a haircut or a longer handkerchief. But, Victor, for your information, I'm Bob Hope. After all, we knew each other years ago.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. I remember when we were partners way back in vaudeville.
Mm-hmm.
The manager fired you.
Yeah, he fired me and kept you.
Yeah, it's too bad. Tell me, did you ever get another job?
Where have you been, boy? I work all the time.
I mean, beside cutting for Crosby.
Please, you may be a Victor, but I don't want any more.
Yeah, well, you may be Bob, but I don't think there's much hope. If you're listening, Durante, we got a million of them.
Well, Victor, speaking of Crosby, you know, old Flab and Drab is quite a boy on the links. This week he's holding a golf tournament at Pebble Beach.
Boy, I'll bet he's out there breaking records.
No, Bing's not going to try and break any records this year.
Why not?
Petrillo won't let him make any new ones. I don't know what the poor kid will do for money. It's a shame, you know?
Well, you know, Bob, I sure wish I could appear in some of those road pictures with you like Bing does, but I guess I just haven't got what it takes.
Oh, I don't know. Your ears are like Bing's. Your eyes are like Bing's. You even got hair like Bing's.
Yeah, but look at the difference in our ages.
Oh, don't let that bother you. With a little makeup, you can look as old as he does. You know, in a way, you're even built like Bing. You both have that new look, ankle-length tummies.
Yeah, my stomach has been out longer than the Republicans. But I guess I haven't got the physique to be in the road pictures.
Well, on the level, Vic, you haven't got a bad figure at all. As a matter of fact, I'd even say you have the body of Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, Barbara Stangman is sure going to be sore when she sees what I've done to it.
Hi, fellas. What's cooking?
Well, nothing yet, but stick around. We'll open a can of Sterno. Victor, you dog, you.
This kid has the makings of another Mortimer Snurd. Peggy, we were just talking about Victor being in the next road picture in place of Crosby.
Sounds exciting. And I've got just the locale for you. The road to Scotland.
Scotland? Oh, that's fine. Dorothy Lamour in a sarong with a wisp broom hanging on it.
Oh, Dorothy will love it. Scotland with its beautiful highlands and its rambling moors.
Ah, that's for me. There's nothing I like better than rambling through the moors and making la with Dorothy.
Don't try to figure it out, folks. We spent all afternoon cutting the script, and I think we threw away the wrong part. Look, Peggy, while Victor and I figure out the plot of our next road picture, why don't you sing something?
Well, as long as you ask, Bob, I'll sing that great tune from Allegro, The Gentleman is a Dope.
The Gentleman is a Dope? Rhymes with hope. Everybody's so sweet around here, you know?
The gentleman is a dope, a man of many faults, a clumsy Joe who wouldn't know a Roomba from a wall. The gentleman is a dope, and not my cup of tea. Why do I get in a dither? He doesn't belong to me. The gentleman isn't bright. He doesn't know the score. A cake will come, he'll take a crumb and never ask for more. The gentleman's eyes are blue, but little do they see. Why am I beating my brains out? He doesn't belong to me. He's somebody else's problem. She's welcome to the guy. She'll never understand dope. He isn't very smart. He is just a lug you'd like to hug and hold against your heart. The gentleman doesn't know how happy he could be. Look at me crying my eyes out as if he belonged to me. The gentleman doesn't care about me. The gentleman does all right without me. The gentleman is a dog.
Here's a 60-second story from the Rexall Laboratory.
There are many things which can't be seen with the human eye, and among them are chemical changes in dark liquids. That's why the Rexall Control Laboratory uses an instrument called a titrimeter, which contains an electric eye. The electric eye actually blinks when a chemical change occurs in a solution, a change which never could be noticed by the eye of man. And what's the significance of the titrimeter? Well, it's only one of the many instruments used daily in the Rexall Laboratory for scientifically measuring, analyzing, and testing Rexall drug products. But it's one more strong reason why you can always depend on any product that bears the name Rexall.
So for any and for all of your drug needs, always buy Rexall at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Well, Victor, are you all set to fill in for Crosby?
You bet. Get a load of this. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Boo, 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 boo.
Please, don't give the audience any ideas. Look, why did you pick White Christmas? Christmas is 12 months away.
With my wind, I have to start early.
Well, I guess we're all set to start our road story. I don't know what'll happen, but one thing's sure, we meet Dorothy Lamour.
Dorothy Lamour. Oh, boy. If my scoutmaster is listening, I'm not practicing my knots tonight.
Please, boy, please. Your tenderfoot badge is spinning, please. Now, there's only one more thing more we need. I'll turn on the radio here and get us a little mood music.
Okay, fellas, give me the ball. We got time for just one more. Let's go, fellas. Time for just one more.
How do you like that? It's a week since the Rose Bowl game, and Michigan is still making touchdowns. Hey, but come on. It's Bob Hope and Victor, Bing Crosby Moore, in the greatest road story of them all, The Road to Pismo Beach. Oh, what a miserable life this is. You and I, two lowly beachcombers.
Yeah, for 2 years we've been here in Pismo Beach trying to find the lost idol of the Incas. If we find it, we're rich.
Well, one of our problems is solved. At least we'll eat today. Look, the salmon are running.
I know the salmon are running, but who's that fellow standing there in the water pleading with them?
That's Henry Wallace. He'll do anything to get someone to run with him.
Well, things could be worse. I didn't tell you, but last night I had a date with a mermaid.
But a mermaid is half woman and half fish.
After 2 years in Pismo Beach, who cares?
Well, I know the idol of the Incas is around here someplace.
Well, I'm getting discouraged. There's a fellow sitting over there. Why don't you ask him if he knows where the idol is?
Okay, I'll talk to him. Tell me, mister, who are you? I said, who are you? It's no use, Victor. He's a grain speculator and won't give his name. I'll check with Amici. Well, there's only one thing to do. That's what you get for reading. I know a beautiful senorita in Mexico who knows where the idol is hidden. Senorita Lola. Let's go down there. Maybe she'll tell us the secret.
Good. It's off to Mexico and those wonderful dishes. Tortilla, tejoze, enchiladas, and Carmen Miranda.
Carmen Miranda?
Can you think of a better Spanish dish? Let's go.
This heat. This horrible Mexican heat pounding down with a relentless fury, disregarding our lack of water. How can we go on? We must have water. Do you hear me? Water. Water, 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 water.
Bob, it isn't hot. Why are you doing that?
Every year I make at least one try for the Academy Award.
Well, let's get going. What would Crosby do at a time like this?
Well, there's Senorita Lola's hacienda right there. Bing would saunter over beneath her balcony and serenade her. Here's your guitar. Luck, kid.
Okay, here goes. Boo, 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 boo. There, beautiful senorita. Tell me how you like my voice from your own tender lips.
Drop dead!
What a place to run into a Sinatra fan.
Oh, now I recognize you. You are the romantic travelers, Hope and Crosby.
That's right, senorita. We came here to find the Inca idol, and you're the only one who knows where it is buried. Yes, sir. Sounds like the kind of a straight line I'd read to Kelowna.
Not so fast, kiss snoot. I will only give the secret of the idol to the one I love.
Who, me?
No, it is the other one, Little Bucket Pants.
Good luck, kid.
Most of my friends call me Hot Lips.
Oh, senor, you have swept me off my feet. You have swept me to the clouds. You have swept me to the heavens.
What am I, a lover or a Hoover vacuum cleaner?
How do you like it, even when Bing looks like Victor Murray gets the girl? This is one Crosby I'd like to transcribe to a more inconvenient time.
Ah, my little pudgy one, you are wonderful. For the price of one kiss, I will tell you where the Inca idol is. I will kiss you so hard you spin in circles.
Ah, that's silly. Nobody could kiss me so hard I spin in circles. Go on, pucker up.
Does anybody want to buy a short, fat yo-yo?
Oh, your kiss was marvelous. And now I will tell you where the Inca idol is. It is buried in Pismo Beach.
Pismo Beach? That's where we were looking in the first place. Well, come on, Victor. It's back in the road to Pismo Beach. Let's hurry. Some clams are having a people bake tonight. You see, people usually have clams. The clams... Not much there. Durante, you'd better hurry back. Your writers are drunk with power. Hurry back.
Look, Senorita Lola was right. There's the Inca idol, and standing in front of it is a beautiful native girl.
At last, we've reached our goal. Tell me, native girl, we're Hope and Crosby. Who are you?
I'm Dorothy Lamour.
Forgive us, Paramount. We're working on a short budget.
Gosh, Miss Lamour, I think you're wonderful. But how do you keep that sarong up?
Weak elastic and
Strong sensitive.
Well, what are you doing standing in front of the Inca idol?
for me, beautiful Inca princess. Listen to native Inca song. If I didn't care,
Honey, child, if I didn't care.
would I feel this way?
Now, honey, would I feel this way?
If I didn't care.
You.
How do you like that, the Inca spots?
Oh, Bob, do you realize if we're rich, our search is ended?
Yes, and the old legend of the idol is that whoever finds it will hear secret words from its lips. Look, the idol is starting to speak.
This is a supreme moment. Listen to the words of the Inca idol.
Inca, Inca, Inca.
Inca, a dinkadoo, a dinkadoo, a doo-a-dee. Everybody wants to get into the act.
Friends, here are those foremost Rexall reminders for the week. Remember, 25% of America buys its drug needs in Rexall drugstores. Remember, Rexall is that large and respected family of more than 2,000 different drug products. Remember, you can always depend on any drug product bearing the name Rexall. Remember, Rexall drug products are available in Rexall drugstores everywhere. And as Jimmy Durante always says, I do my shopping at a Rexall store, buying Rexall drugs and a furthermore. But Jimmy Durante, he prefers them too. We buy Rexall, that's all. How about you?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob Hope again. I know that a lot of you are too busy to drop in at your local stationer and pick out a get-well-quick card for Jimmy. So what do you say that you and I send him a radio card that says, Dear Schnoz, when it comes to friends, we're stealing one of your own lines. Ah, Durante, you've got 1,000,000 of them. Sign the American public. You know, you often hear the old saying, there's no business like show business. And one of the main reasons is the little guy with a big nose and the heart to match. Talk about a big heart. That wallet of Jimmy's gets open more times a day than the front door at Macy's. And when it comes to butching up the English language, nobody can touch him. But any old buddy down on his luck can touch him for the shirt off his back. We in show business love the guy. There's nothing in the world we wouldn't do for him, and vice versa. Believe me, the world needs more Jimmy Durantes. But as long as there's only one, I just want to say, hurry back, Schnoz. Your good friend America is getting mighty lonesome for you. Good night, folks. Good night, Jimmy.
Good night, Mrs. Pepperhash.
Thank you, Victor Moore, and thank you, Bob Hope, for volunteering your services. I know the Schnoz appreciates it as much as all of us in Rexall do here. Well, Rexall for tonight from Peggy Lee, Candy Candido, Roy Bargy, Dave Barry, who plays Mr. Ripple, and yours truly, Howard Petrie.
And I still haven't been able to find out why Jimmy was hospitalized. I'll do some more poking around, but, you know, what maybe one of my well-connected friends out there can give me a better idea. You go to our webpage, classicradio.stream, or leave us a message on our Facebook page. One of those. 76 years ago, January 7th, 1948, The Jimmy Durante Show. Up next, Lucille Ball in My Favorite Husband here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
How much time do we have? Minutes, days, months, years? We don't know. But this we do know. Civil defense is everybody's business. It's a big job getting civil defense organized to operate efficiently. But then atomic attack is disaster on a big scale. We can and must get the job done if we are to survive. Just imagine, if only one atom bomb were to be dropped on an American city, say it's your city, thousands of persons would be killed instantly. Many would be trapped or buried in wreckage. Streets would be blocked by rubble. Great fires would start, dozens of fires in a matter of minutes in many places at once. Then, too, a large part of the city's food supply might be knocked out. The water supply might be cut off. Normal communications might stop. Certainly transportation would. How much time do we have to prepare? We don't know. But this we do know. Civil defense is everybody's business. It's your business.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 75 years, January 7th, 1949. Lucille Ball and Richard Denning starring in My Favorite Husband.
It's time for My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball.
Jello, everybody.
Yes, it's the new Gay Families series starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning. Brought to you by the Jello family of desserts.
J-E-L-L. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jello family. Oh, the big red letters stand for the Jello family. That's Jello.
Yum, yum, yum.
Jello puddings. Yum, yum, yum. Jello tapioca puddings. Yes, sirree.
And now Lucille Ball with Richard Denning as Liz and George Cooper. Two people who live together and like it. Every day in each American home, an old native custom takes place. An ancient tribal ritual called waking up in the morning. Now, everyone has his own interpretation of how this should be done. For instance, at the Coopers, George opens his eyes, bounds out of bed, flexes his muscles, and says,
"Ah, I'm glad I'm alive."
And Liz, not to be outdone, opens one eye, looks around, and says,
I wish I was dead.
And then the daily ritual settles down to serious business as George Cooper is faced with the problem of getting Sleeping Beauty out of bed.
Come on, Liz. It's time to get up.
Yeah, I am. Just one more.
Come on now. Katie's getting breakfast. It's 7:45.
Yes, dear. All right.
Well, why don't you get up?
Why don't you get lost? I'm practically dressed.
Oh, sure. How can you sleep so long? You must be part bear.
I am not. I'm wearing my long flannel nightgown. Here I come, George. I'm getting up right now. 1, 2.
Come on now, Liz. I'll pull the covers off.
Oh, just one more minute.
I'll tickle your feet.
I'm up.
Get moving. I'll pour cold water on you.
No.
I'll get my camera and take a picture of you and your curlers and cold cream.
I'm up, so help me, I'm up.
That works every time.
Have you started breakfast yet, Katie?
No, Mrs. Cooper. Why?
Well, I'd like an extra special breakfast for Mr. Cooper. I have a favor I want from him. I have to borrow some money.
Money?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then I'd better serve breakfast on the paper plates. You can't throw them so far.
Yes, and they don't hurt so much when they hit.
If it's just a little money, I could lend it to you, Mrs. Cooper.
No, Katie, this is serious. It's my January budget. I made a New Year's resolution not to go over it, and it's all spent already.
But this is only the 7th of the month.
The 7th? Say, that's pretty good. I usually spend it by the 5th.
Can't we avoid a scene with Mr. Cooper?
I don't know how.
I know. When I get my salary, I'll lend it to you until next month.
Katie, your salary was in the January budget.
I was afraid of that.
I only wish he'd broken one of his resolutions. Then he wouldn't have any right to be mad at me.
What were his resolutions?
He resolved not to drop any ashes on the rug and to clean out every ashtray he uses.
Well, that's not so easy, you know.
I know. It would be even harder if he smoked.
I forgot that.
Well, I'll just see if I can get around him by being so sweet and loving he just can't get angry when I tell him.
That's like holding out a handful of grain to a turkey just before you chop his head off.
Liz, are you out in the kitchen?
Oh, there's the old gobbler now.
Honey, George!
Breakfast about ready?
Oh, just about. Oh, George, I'm so lucky to be married to you.
Yeah, you're right. But what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just that you're so wonderful. Give me a big early morning hug.
Okay.
Oh, hold me tighter. Tighter.
Oh, but Liz.
Go on, pretend I'm a sack of walnuts and crack my shells. Oh, kiss me, George.
Oh, you talked me into it.
George, your kisses are just as good as they were 10 years ago. How do you do it?
I keep them in a deep freeze.
How about me, George? What do I kiss like,
Give me another sample and I'll tell you.
All right. Well, what do I kiss like?
Like you were over your January budget.
You always know, don't you?
I don't believe it. You used all the money I gave you for this month, and January's only a week old. How could you do it?
Ooh, I'm a stinker.
Liz?
George, put down that knife.
Huh? Oh. Come here, Liz.
Yes, sir?
In 7 short days, you've spent all the money for all our bills for a whole month?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to hear a reasonable explanation of that.
So would I. Can you think of one?
What happened to the money, Liz? This is serious.
I know it is, George, and I'm sorry, but you know how bad I am at mathematics.
You must know what happened. Now we'll start at the beginning. What was your first mistake?
Not paying attention in 7th grade arithmetic class.
No! I mean after that.
Not paying attention in 8th grade arithmetic class.
Liz!
George, put down that knife.
Now answer my questions.
Yes, sir.
Did you at least pay the January bills?
No, sir.
The December bills?
No, sir. Ask me if I paid the October bills.
Liz, did you pay the October bills?
No, sir. At least not all of them.
Wait till I put this knife out of my reach.
Yes, sir.
Now, which ones?
I'm not sure. I have my own system for paying bills, you see.
I'm a fool to continue this conversation, but what is that system?
Well, I take the bills and divide them into 3 piles.
Oh, due, overdue, and not due yet.
No, have to pay, ought to pay, and doubt if I ever will pay.
If they ever hear about this at the bank, I'm washed up.
Now, when I sit at the desk, I put the have to pays to my right and the ought to pays to my left.
What about the doubt if I ever will?
I just throw those over my head onto the floor.
Oh, well. Ask a silly question.
Yes, sir.
Now you've got the bills in 3 groups. What do you do then?
Well, I pay the ones on the right. Then if I have any more money, I play eeny, meeny, miny, mo with the bills on the left.
Logical. How does that work out?
Well, I'm usually all right through eeny and meeny, but when I get to miny, there isn't any mo.
Oh. Well, that system leaves you with a pretty sloppy living room, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, what happens to the bills that are on the floor?
Oh, I pick them up according to a system developed by Hoover.
Hoover? The president?
No, the vacuum cleaner.
Liz, if you don't mind my asking, on what do you expect to run the house for the rest of the month?
George, if you don't mind my asking, give me some more money.
Liz, I'm going to teach you a lesson. No matter how much sacrifice I have to make, we'll get by the rest of the month without any more household money.
Oh, George, don't be silly.
No, I was never more serious. It'll teach you a lesson. We have a roof over our heads, and we'll get by on whatever food there is in the house.
Oh, I wish you'd told me that before I went to the grocer's yesterday. They were having a sale, and I made a wonderful purchase.
Well, we'll be eating it for the next 3 weeks. What did you buy?
6 cases of beans.
Beans? Oh, Liz, you hate beans, and so do I. Why did you buy 6 cases?
Well, it was such a bargain, I couldn't pass it up.
Oh. Well, you'd better develop a taste for them.
George, you're not going through with this.
I certainly am. We spend no more money for the rest of January.
Oh, dear.
Well, goodbye, dear. I'm going to the bank. Come on, give me a kiss.
All right. Wait a minute. This is strictly business, George. Now, I'm talking to you as a banker. I'd like to make a loan on 6 cases of beans.
I'm sorry, madam, but your credit is no good.
Oh, you're so mean. George Cooper, you're a fiend.
And not just an ordinary one. I'm a new man, Liz. Meet George Cooper, king of the fiends.
Meet Liz Cooper, queen of the beans.
Hey, honey, I'm home.
Hi, dear.
How'd things go today?
Just fine.
Didn't have any trouble getting along without cash, did you?
None at all.
What's for dinner?
I have the menu right here. Bean soup, bean salad, baked beans, and for dessert, bean meringue pie.
Oh. Why didn't I think of this earlier?
Do you want to back out?
No, it isn't that. I had beans for lunch. Hey, honey, I'm home.
Hi, dear.
How'd things go today?
Just fine.
What's for dinner?
Bean burgers. And for dessert, a bean sundae.
What's that? Ice cream with beans over it?
No.
Beans with ice cream over it?
Don't be silly. That would be beans a la mode.
Well, what's a bean sundae?
Beans with beans over them.
Oh. Hey, honey, I'm home.
Hi, dear.
How'd things go today?
Just fine.
What's for dinner?
How would you like a nice, juicy sirloin steak?
Liz, you didn't manage to get one.
That's right, I didn't. We're having beans.
How are you fixing them tonight?
Oh, you'll love them, George. We took the beans and froze them into the shape of little hats. They're called beanies.
Well, if the food is going to be bad, at least the jokes could be better.
Yes, sir. You know, George, you could put an end to this as quick as you started it. Come on, let's go out and buy dinner.
No, sir. I'm seeing this thing through. As a matter of fact, I'm not very hungry. I had a big lunch.
George Cooper, did you spend money for lunch?
No, Mr. Atterbury paid for it. We were entertaining Mr. Taylor. He's the president of that factory they're building, and he'll decide which bank they do business with.
Oh, never mind the details. What did you have?
Oh, pork chops.
Pork chops.
Yeah. 2 big, thick ones.
Oh. George, tell me, does meat still taste the same?
Liz, let go of my lapels.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lose my head. The mention of meat upsets me.
Well, if you must know how it tasted, Liz, it tasted like beans. Everything does.
George, I don't want any dinner either. Let's do something tonight. Can't we go to a movie?
Yeah, sorry, that costs money. Of course, maybe we could get a pass to the legitimate theater.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. What's playing?
The late Christopher Bean.
Never mind. We could play bridge with the Sturmses.
No, the way you play, that costs money, too. Of course, we could stay at home and play B-knuckle.
George, that's not funny. Why does everything have to cost money? I'll put on the radio. It's the only thing that's free, and it'll take my mind off beans for a minute. Silly Billy Bean! Turn it off! This is a conspiracy. Well, we'll just stay home and look at each other. That ought to be pleasant.
Well, you don't have to sound so hopeless. Hey, whatever happened to the fine art of conversation?
Conversation? Why, George, we couldn't possibly have anything to say to each other. We're married.
Nonsense. We'll just sit right down and have a very interesting conversation.
All right, George. Let me get settled. All right. You start.
Okay, now let's see now. You start.
No, you start.
Well,
That sounds fascinating.
Well, it's your attitude that's killing it. Before we were married, we never had this trouble. Oh, Liz, remember how we used to park up at Inspiration Point?
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes we'd stay there till 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't recall that we were bored with each other's conversation then.
I don't recall that we did any talking at all.
This is more like it.
Yeah.
Oh, what fun we used to have.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the time I took you skiing and we were snowed in at that lodge? And the fun we had until they rescued us? What's the matter, Liz?
You never took me skiing in your whole life.
Uh-oh. Well, remember...
Do you mind if I put on the radio, Mr. Cooper?
So remember those big red letters on the box.
What happened? The lights went out.
And the radio went off.
Oh, we must have blown a fuse. I'll go and see.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know. George, how soon do they shut off the electricity if you don't pay the bill?
Liz, don't tell me you didn't pay the light bill.
All right, I won't tell you. Now I don't know why they went off.
Oh, fine. Now we're going to be without lights the rest of the month.
Oh, George, you're not going to be that stubborn, are you?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry, Liz.
All right. I'm going to get into bed, turn on the electric blanket, and stay there for 3 weeks.
You'd better take a hot water bottle. The electric blanket takes electricity.
Well, that settles it. Well, there's only one way to keep warm and occupied.
What's that?
Let's go out in the car and neck.
Liz and George will return in just a moment.
When the United States was still a young and growing nation, there came forth from all parts of the country idealists to create utopia. For example, there was John Humphrey Noyes, who dreamed up the Oneida Community in New York in 1847. It was designed to do away with sin and greed. In order to keep the community alive, small manufacturing industries were started. By 1880, the community living plan had died, and the industries had grown to great proportion and nationwide reputation. Even though John Noyes' idea had backfired, his efforts provided a contribution to American industry. Another idealist who seemingly had in mind the health and happiness of Americans was Henry Clubb. About 1855, Mr. Clubb got the idea that people would be healthier if they were vegetarians. He thought they'd be happier if they lived in octagon-shaped houses on octagon-shaped parcels of land in octagon-shaped cities. Unfortunately for Mr. Clubb, he decided to establish Octagonal City, the center of the Vegetarian Settlement Company, in a pretty dusty spot in Kansas. After one look at the hardships to be encountered on the barren plains, nearly every one of the subscribers to the vegetarian community went back to the non-vegetarian East Coast. One after another, communal living experiments bloomed, faded, and disappeared. There were the Shakers, the Separatists of Zoar, the Rapetite Harmonists, Brook Farm, and many others, all planned toward better living and better people. Dreamers of the American dream can't be judged merely on the basis of success or failure, for failure can show people of the future what not to do. American men and women built the United States into a great nation because they conceived their ideas and tried them out. This is indeed part of the great American dream, a dream which has become a decisive reality.
And now, back to My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning. Liz Cooper has already spent all her household money for January, and much to her surprise, George is making her get along as best she can without any more money. Well, at the last reading, they had been eating beans for a week, and now the electricity is off. Liz is beginning to crack under the strain.
Oh, Katie.
What's the matter, Mrs. Cooper?
What next? Now we're all out of candles.
Oh, why does Mr. Cooper have to be so stubborn?
Because he's a man.
I know. My first husband, Clarence, couldn't be rushed into anything either. He took me out every Thursday night for 7 years while we were engaged.
Every Thursday?
Yes. Then we got married and we didn't have anything to do on Thursday nights.
Oh, Katie. Katie, I just thought of a plan. I'm going to charge some groceries and tell George I found the money in an old purse. I'll call Rafferty's Grocery. They carry everything, and they always have such good stuff.
Rafferty's Grocery and Delicatessen. You can eat it, drink it, chew it, slice it, or smell it. We sell it.
Oh, hello, Mr. Rafferty. This is Mrs. George Cooper. Yes, I need a lot of things today. Send me 6 lamb chops, 2 potatoes, corn, peas, sugar, bread, butter, and milk. Oh, and charge it. Now, did I forget anything?
Yep, you forgot to check your husband. He stopped your credit.
What? Well, if that isn't the dirtiest trick, the nerve of him thinking I'd charge something behind his back.
Too bad, too. Got some wonderful specials. Could give you a real good buy on beans.
Oh, no. Goodbye, Mr. Rafferty. I'm just going to call George up and give him a piece of my mind. Maybe that's George now. Hello, you no-good skunk.
This is the operator.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry.
Your phone is being disconnected.
Just because I called you a skunk? I said I'm sorry.
We will resume service as soon as your overdue bill is paid.
Oh, where will this end? Katie, they disconnected our phone. Well, if that's the way they're going to act, what's the name of this phone company? I'll take my telephone business to someone else.
Mrs. Cooper, you can't do that. There's only one phone company.
Well, I'll think of something. I'll get a carrier pigeon.
Get two, one for messages and one for dinner.
I knew it. They called to apologize. You're too late. I've decided to use pigeons.
Liz, what are you talking about?
It's no use, George. You can't talk to me. They've disconnected the phone. Hang up.
Now, wait a minute. I'm at the phone company.
Oh.
Everything's all right, Liz. The electricity will be on in a minute, and your credit is good at the market again.
Well, what brought this on?
I'm calling a truce just for tonight.
Oh?
Yeah, you know that fellow Taylor I told you about.
Yes.
Well, I'm bringing him home to dinner. He's very important to the bank. We'll see you later.
Wait a minute. I'm mad at you.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it later, Liz. Goodbye.
But, George, Oh, darn it.
What's the matter, Mrs. Cooper?
Oh, he makes us stick to this ridiculous business until the minute he wants to impress someone, and then he gaily calls a truce. Well, I'm going to fix him all right.
How?
I'm going to pull a fuse and keep all the lights off, and I'm going to wear my oldest dress and pretend we always live this way. And guess what we're having for dinner?
Oh, no, Mrs. Cooper.
Oh, yes. Get me some sticks and some glue. We're going to have bean on the cob.
Well, here we are, Mr. Taylor.
Well, I must say, Cooper, you have a nice-looking place, but are you sure your wife is expecting us?
Oh, I'm sure she is. Why?
All the lights are out.
Well, we're probably dining by candlelight.
Well, it's wonderful. I can't wait to get a home-cooked meal. You know how it is when you're traveling. Nothing but beans, beans, beans.
Oh, you don't need to worry. We won't be having beans tonight. Hey, honey, I'm home.
That's funny. No lights, no candles either.
Probably a joke of hers. Liz is a great little kidder. Yeah, the lights don't work. Liz, where are you?
Yeah, I'll light a match.
No one here.
Yeah. There's something moving in the corner.
Liz, is that you?
George, you've come back. You haven't forgotten your poor, starving wife.
What?
Did you bring some food? A crust of stale bread, a glass of warm water?
Have you gone crazy?
Yes, I think I have. Why wouldn't I? Cooped up here for years with no lights and no food. I'm going mad!
Well, this is most peculiar, Cooper. Is this some kind of a joke?
Yes, of course it is, Mr. Taylor. Liz, why aren't the lights turned on?
Light? Oh, that's that new invention you told me wasn't perfected yet.
What are you trying to do?
Who's that with you?
Oh, now stop it, Liz. What will Mr. Taylor think?
How do you do, Mr. Taylor?
Hello, Mrs. Cooper.
Tell me, Mr. Taylor, what's it like out there?
Out where?
Out there. I've been cooped up here so long. We can't afford a newspaper, and I never get to the movies. Tell me, what happened to Dewey?
He lost.
Oh, dear. I was sure he'd take Manila.
Oh, Liz, cut it out. And why have you got on that old house dress?
Oh, George, how can you say anything unkind about this dress? Don't you remember? I wore it 10 years ago when we were married.
Now, Liz!
I'm very sentimental about this dress, Mr. Taylor. It's the only one I've ever had.
Liz, stop it. Look, Mr. Taylor.
Don't speak to me, you cad.
What?
I simply can't believe that a vice president of a bank would treat his wife like this. And personally, I wouldn't do business with a bank that has an executive like you.
Bless you, kind sir.
This whole thing is a very unfunny joke my wife is pulling. Now, I'll get our maid and she'll tell you just what's going on.
You keep your wife in rags and you have a maid?
Oh, she isn't really our maid. He just calls her that.
She is, too. Katie, would you please come in here?
Coming.
Katie, I want you to tell this gentleman what's going on in this house.
All right. But first, what about me, son? Didn't you bring some bread for your poor old mother?
Oh, no!
George, you're not mad at me, are you?
I haven't decided. Now let me go to sleep.
Well, you'll have to admit I gave Mr. Taylor a beautiful steak dinner.
Oh, sure. After you had your fun.
Well, maybe you won't be mad at me when I tell you I've got my accounts all straight. I don't owe a cent to anyone.
I'm afraid to ask, but how did you manage that?
I wrote an article and sold it to the daily paper.
An article?
Mm-hmm.
What about?
100 different ways to fix beans.
You have been listening to My Favorite Husband, starring Lucille Ball with Richard Denning, and based on characters created by Isabel Scott Rorick. Tonight's program was produced and directed by Jess Oppenheimer, who wrote the script with Madeline Pugh and Bob Carroll Jr. Original music was composed by Marlon Skiles and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The part of Katie the maid was played by Ruth Parrott. Lucille Ball will soon be seen in the Paramount picture Sorrowful Jones. Be sure to listen to Lucille Ball in My Favorite Husband next week. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
"75 years ago, January 7th, 1949, My Favorite Husband here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, we get back to crime with an episode of Calling All Cars, Casey Crime Photographer, Gangbusters, Let George Do It, and Lum and Abner. That'll be on our Monday program. Coming up next, Phil Harris-Alice Faye, and Remley gets evicted.
Civil defense information. This is basic civil defense information from the Department of Defense, Office of Civil Defense, Washington. When a nuclear bomb or missile explodes near the ground, great quantities of earth and debris are sucked up into the fireball and carried by the prevailing winds before falling back to Earth. This material is radioactive fallout. The particles look like grains of salt or sand. Fallout gives off invisible gamma rays like X-rays, and heavy exposure to it can cause serious radiation sickness, even death. If a person receives a small or medium dose of radiation, his body will repair itself and he will get well. Usually the effects of radiation from fallout are more severe in very young and very old persons and those not in good health. Radiation sickness is not contagious. The most dangerous period is the first 24 hours after fallout arrives, but you might have to use fallout shelter up to 2 weeks. For further information about fallout and how you can protect yourself against it, consult your local civil defense office.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, 73 years ago, January 7th, 1951, an episode of the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show.
From Hollywood, the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show.
For your enjoyment, here is the Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show, written by Ray Singer and Dick Chevrolet, with Elliot Lewis, Walter Tetley, Robert North, Janine Roos, Ann Whitfield, Walter Sharp in his music, yours truly, Bill Foreman, and starring Alice Faye and Phil Harris. Alice's brother William has just figured up Phil's total income tax for the year 1950. He has shown the figures to Phil, and Phil's reaction is that of any good, loyal American citizen.
I ain't gonna pay it. I don't understand it. I keep the band working all the time. They won't even give me a quarter deduction for uniforms, the blazers I'm using,
Now,
the
Phil,
same...
Phil. Don't get yourself all excited. You'll have to pay your taxes.
Oh, honey, I know, but gee whiz, after working hard all year, I haven't got nothing left. Willie, are you sure that you figured my tax right? Did you deduct all of my dependents?
Yes, I copied the list you gave me. It included Alice, myself, baby Alice, little Phyllis, your mother, father, Aunt Matilda, and Lord Calvert.
Lord Calvert?
My English uncle. I send him a halfpenny or two to keep the old ancestral estate. The hop gardens and such, you know. I can't understand, though, why I got such little left.
It's your own fault, Philip. You're too extravagant in your business dealings. You pay your employees much too much.
They're worth every penny I pay them. That's why I have the best band in the country.
This is the best?
You said it. Them guys have talent. They can play even when they're blindfolded. They're very capable musicians.
And another thing, why do you have 60 men in your orchestra? Only 30 of them play instruments. What did the other 30 do?
They sit behind the guys with the instruments and tap them on the shoulders when it's turn to join in. Or something like that. Let's make it when it's their turn to join in.
Now, Philip, if you want to save any money, you're going to have to reduce the salaries of your band. You should think about saving something for the future.
Don't worry. I've got a little annuity stashed away for my old age.
What annuity?
Your sister. She's my little blonde coupon clipper.
You know, Phil, Willie's right. You can't run a business on a losing basis.
You just have to fire all your musicians who don't have any talent and are completely worthless.
Like who?
Like all your musicians. And the first one to go should be Frankie.
Now, wait a minute. Frankie ain't worthless. He has certain rare qualities that are seldom found in human beings. Why, only last week he was offered $100 a day for his services, wasn't he, Alice?
Yes, he was.
Who would pay him $100 a day and for what?
The Mayo Clinic, just to study him.
It wasn't the Mayo Clinic. It was some big band leader named Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. Besides, I'd never get rid of Frankie. I need him.
You need him like you need a third thumb. Well, anyway, I didn't mean that you should fire Frankie, but you'll have to cut his salary along with the rest of the band.
Oh, Alice. You've led too sheltered a life. I mean, you just don't tell musicians that you're cutting their salary.
Why not? Don't be a coward, Philip. You just stand right up in front of those fellas and tell them you're reducing their wages.
I like the way this guy spills my blood. Besides, I tried to cut the band's salary a few years ago.
What happened?
It took 5 hours for the plumber to remove the tuba from around my neck.
Philip, if they get tough with you, you'll just have to fire them.
But I tell you, I don't want to fire them. Anyway, I can't. Who else could I get to play my type of songs? Who'd be willing to play things like this? In my dreams I seem to hear a whistle shrill, like the whippoorwilling of the whippoorwill. In my ears I hear it ringing, And to me the past it is bringing. It reminds me of the dear old Mississippi, when I loaded cotton on that stern wheel ship. Roused about, knocked about, those were the happy days, there's no doubt. On the Mississippi, where those boats go puffing along. On the Mississippi, people all go dippy when they hear a little bit of ragtime melody. It seems I hear them singing, see them bucking, winging, hear those banjos ringing. Woo, my heart is clinging to that Mississippi, dear old Mississippi. That's where I belong. I just have to close my eyes to see that side, that river all a-glistening in the bright moonlight. With my gal, again I am strolling, and her eyes at me, they are rolling all along the levee. See those people dance, listen to the music, watch that shuffling dance. Lordy me, can't you see that there is only one place for me, and it's on old Mississippi, on the Mississippi, where those boats go puffing along. On the Mississippi, people all go dippy when they hear a little bit of ragtime melody. It seems I hear them singing, see them bucking, winging, hear those banjos ringing. Woo, my heart is clinging to the Mississippi, dear old Mississippi. That's where I was born.
Now, Philip, I've checked your tax report again, and you'll just have to cut your musicians' salaries. If you don't, you'll go bankrupt.
Oh, it's as bad as that, huh? Well, in that case, I'll just have to tell the guys. But it ain't going to be easy. And the only one that'll understand will be Remley. He won't mind taking a cut.
What Remley are you talking about?
I'm talking about Frankie. He'd work for me for nothing if I asked him to. Frankie's a true pal. If the rest of the guys in the band were like him, I wouldn't have any trouble at all. I wouldn't mind going down and tell... Oh, I'll get that.
Hiya, Curly.
Ah, hello, Frankie. Glad you showed up. You can help me prove a point. Look, if I ask you to, pal, you'd work for me for nothing, wouldn't you?
Oh, this guy's still hung over from New Year's Eve.
Frankie, I don't like your answer.
I didn't think much of your question, either. What kind of a way is that to greet a guy? What are you getting at, anyway?
Well, it's about your salary with the band.
What about it?
Well, look, Rem, I know that you're aware that living costs have gone up, taxes are higher, everything costs more, and, well, there's only one thing I can do.
Well, thanks, Curly. I accept the raise.
Remley,
Oh, this is wonderful of you, Curly. Now I can afford to send my mother to Ireland. She's always wanted to go back to see the old sod.
Well, I didn't know your father still lived tonight. Oh, the old sod. Remley, I'm not giving you a raise. I'm cutting your salary.
I'll thank you to watch your language in front of a paid-up union member.
But, Frankie,
One more filthy remark like that, and I'll have Papa Petrillo wash your mouth out with soap. And water.
Will you listen to me, Now, look, I've been going over my taxes for the year, and well, either I cut your salary in half, or I go bankrupt.
Oh. Well, that's different, Curly. You have no alternative. Go right ahead.
I can cut your salary?
No, go bankrupt.
Do you want me to go bankrupt?
Well, no, Curly, but I just can't take a cut, especially at this time.
Well, why not?
Well, I don't want to burden you with my troubles, but when they lifted the rent control, my landlord raised my rent. I couldn't afford it, and he threw me out on the street this morning with all my belongings. Sidewalks all cluttered up with everything I own.
How much cluttering can a toothbrush do?
I have more than one toothbrush. In fact, I had to hire a van to put all my furniture and personal effects in. Now I have a moving van full of my belongings and no place to go.
Oh, well, Remley, Wait a minute. Now, who you trying to kid with that sob story? I don't believe that you've been put out.
If you don't believe me, look out of your window and you'll see them unloading the van now.
Holy smoke, he's telling... Remley, you can't move in here.
Why not?
Well, we got children in the house and the Board of Health won't allow it. Frankie, I'd like to have you, but I just can't take...
But Curly, we've been pals since we were kids. We've always shared things. Don't you remember when we were 12 years old, we made a vow that we'd split everything? And we took a knife and signed it in blood?
Yeah. I'll never forget it. We used your knife and my blood. Look, Frankie, I'd love to have you stay here, but you'll remember you lived here for 3 weeks once.
So?
So after you left, Alice had to go to a psychiatrist. I was forced to drink to forget. And we had to keep the kids on a leash for 2 months.
Well, it ain't my fault if you're a high-strung family. Curly, Alice won't mind if I move in for a while. The least you could do is ask her.
All right, I'll ask her. Hey, Alice, will you come in here a minute, please?
And when she comes in, make it sound like you're happy about it.
Yeah, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy.
What do you want, Phil? Oh, hello, Frankie.
Hiya, Alice. Curly's got some great news for you.
Yes, honey. I have some wonderful surprise for you. Frankie's moving in with us again. All right, there she goes again. Call us to honey. Honey, please control yourself. Alice, get down off of that chandelier.
Oh, stop exaggerating, Curly. Look, Alice, you gotta take me in. I was put out of my apartment this morning. I have no home. I have no place to go.
Oh, Frankie, I didn't know. I'm awfully sorry about that. I'd ask you to move in here with us, except for one thing.
What?
I don't want you. You behaved horribly the last time you stayed here, and I'm not going through with that again.
But, Alice, you can't turn me out. I'm the oldest friend Curly has. Why, we used to go to school together.
That's right, honey. Frankie used to carry my books home for me.
Frankie carried your books home?
Yeah. In those days, my curls were longer, and I had him completely fooled.
And every day after school, we used to play together on the same lot.
I know, but... Wait a minute. How could you two play together every day when you were kids? Phil lived in Tennessee, and you lived in North Dakota.
We used to meet in Chicago.
Look, honey, why don't we try it for a while? We can manage.
Phil, if Frankie moves in, I move out.
Well, thanks, Alice. Your bed is much more comfortable than the one in the guest room. Isn't that nice of her, Curly, giving me her bed?
Alice ain't moving out.
Now, Frankie, you're not moving in here, and that's final. There's no necessity for it. All you have to do is find a new apartment.
I've looked everywhere, and I just can't find a place.
Then we'll help you look. I'll find you a place to live if I have to buy every apartment house in the city.
She can do it, too. Well, if we're going to look, let's get started.
Well, wait for me, fellas. I'll get my hat and song and go with you. The breeze is chasing the zephyr. The moon is chasing the sea. The bull is chasing the heifer. But nobody's chasing me. The rooster's chasing the chicken. The pee-wee, some wee pee-wee. The cat is taking a licking. But nobody's taking me. Nobody wants to own me, and I object. Nobody wants to phone me, not even collect. The leopard's chasing the leopard. The chimp, some champ chimpanzee. The sheep are chasing the shepherd. But nobody's chasing me.
Nobody's chasing me. The flood is chasing the levee. The wolf is out on the spree. The Ford is chasing the Chevy.
mirror from off the shelf. Each night I'm getting nearer, chasing myself.
The clams are almost a mixin'. The hams are chasing TV. The fox is chasing the vixen.
But nobody's chasing me. Nobody's chasing me. You were right, Frankie. It is hard to find an apartment.
Well, here's one more. Let's try it. It wouldn't be so hard if you weren't with us, Remley. You look so darn sloppy, nobody wants to rent to you.
I resent that. I'm very fastidious.
Frankie, this time let me talk to the manager, huh?
You insist, but it's ridiculous. I create a very good impression on people.
How do you do, sir?
Oh. How do you do, miss? What can I do for you?
Do you have a vacant apartment?
Oh, yes. Is it for you?
No. No, it's for Mr. Remley here.
This one, lady?
Yes. What do you say?
Get out of here with that!
How do you like that guy?
I like him fine. He bought my record.
Come on, fellas, let's keep looking.
Look, I'm ready to give up looking for a place for Frankie.
Me too.
I'm not.
Hey, wait a minute. Here's a nice-looking apartment building. Yeah, I think I'll be very happy here. I'll take anything they got just to get in this place.
What's the name of the apartment?
I don't know. It's got kind of a Polish name. Yaucha. Yowika. I don't know. I can't pronounce it.
How's it spelled?
YWCA.
Come on, it's Polish. They'll never understand you. Alice, why don't we give up? There aren't any apartments available.
Well, then let's check the newspaper for furnished rooms.
Alice, it's no use. They won't even take him in a furnished room. We've tried them all.
Well, this is the last place. It has a sign, furnished room for rent. Ring the bell.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not going to live in this broken-down neighborhood. The house looks like a fire trap.
Don't argue. If they have a room, you're going to take it.
All right. Before I do, I'm going to look it over carefully. The beds, the closets, and the way it's furnished. I'm going to examine everything.
How do you do? I suppose you're here to see.
I'll take the room.
I never saw such a careful examination.
May I see the room, miss?
Well, I'm sorry. I rented about 5 minutes ago. It's been taken by a young man.
Well, I got connections. I think I could have them drafted.
I'm sorry we don't have that room, but we do expect to have a vacancy in about 6 months. Why don't you call me?
Why waste a nickel? I'll just wait here.
Come on. Remley, will you get out of there? Thank you, miss.
Well, that's the last place. I guess I'll have to stay at your house.
Not so fast. Let me look at that paper again. I may have missed something.
Hey, honey, look at this ad. Big new housing project. Plenty of apartments for rent to men who... Oh, nuts. It's not good for Frankie.
Why not?
They're only available to men with families.
Then we'll get him a family.
Alice, I'm beginning to get the impression that you don't want me to live at your house.
Let's see. First, he has to have a wife. I wonder who we can get to pose as his wife.
If I put my long curls on again, maybe I...
No.
No, huh?
No. Alice, how about you pretending to be my wife?
Me, I would... All right. I'm so desperate, I'll even sink that low.
And I'll borrow your kids to be my children.
Oh, no, that I'd draw the line at. You're
Me
not...
too. But don't worry, Frankie. I'll find a child for you. In the meantime, you fellas rush over to the housing project and put a deposit on an apartment. Tell them your wife and child will be over in a little while.
Okay, wifey dear. I can't wait for you to return so I can embrace you and tell you...
Remley!
What?
Look. Now let me brief you about this wife routine. Alice is only pretending to be your wife. Pretending, like in make-believe. Not real, old boy.
Spoil sport. Come on, let's get over to the housing project. Then I can have the apartment, Mr. Barbie?
I don't see why not, Mr. Remley. This housing project was built specifically with men with families. Now, you do have a family?
Oh, yes. I have a lovely family. Don't I, Curly?
Oh, yes. His wife, Alice, is a beautiful girl and very talented.
What a figure. In a bathing suit, she's a combination of Lana Turner, Jane Russell, and Betty Grable.
She is? I gotta take her swimming more often.
Well, your wife must be a very young girl.
Oh, she is.
If I'm not too inquisitive, how old is Mrs. Remley?
42.
She's 48.
She's 29.
She's 34. I ought to know. I've been living with her for 9 years.
What?
I mean, I've been living with the two of them for 9 years.
Oh, I see. Now, just how many children do you have, Mr. Remley?
One.
A boy or a girl?
It's... I don't know. My wife hasn't told me yet. But they'll be here any minute. We can see for ourselves.
Mr. Remley, how come you don't know what sex your own child is?
I'm not the nosy type. See, I believe in complete freedom for the child. Let it grow up to be whatever it wants to be. It's the way my father raised me. He said to me, Francis, when you grow up, you can be anything you want to be, as long as you turn out to be a man.
Too bad you let him down. Look, mister. Can't we sign the lease for the apartment now?
No, I'm sorry, but we'll have to wait for Mrs. Remley. It will need her signature, too. Oh, by the way, Mr. Remley, how old is your daughter? Your son.
Just call it the thing.
All right, how old is the thing?
Only 8 weeks, and I've already sold 1,224,000 records, for which RCA Victor gave me a gold record because I was the most popular artist.
We know. We know.
You said that.
Mr. Barbie, just wait till you see my little one. It's a...
Francis, where are you, darling?
There's my wife now. I'm right here, sweetheart.
Hello, dear.
Oh, I've missed you terribly, my gorgeous one. Come into my arms. Let me kiss you.
Cut! Remley, what are you kissing Alice for?
I'm trying to get an apartment.
Kiss the manager.
Curly.
If anyone kisses Alice, it's going to be me. Come here, Alice. There. Isn't that better, honey?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's go around once more and see.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Remley.
Yeah.
Why do you allow this man to kiss your wife?
Well, I have to. You see, Mr. Harris is my wife's father. Aren't you, Dad?
Yep, that's my son-in-law. That's Frank. Well, I call him Frank, but his real name is Orville. He changed it for commercial purposes. Seemed to go better in his business. He was a real estate man. That's how he met my daughter. He was trying to sell her Mulholland Drive.
course, I thought it was kind of funny. It was 1:30 in the morning. Couldn't see a gall darn thing, so I walked up, throwed my flashlight on him.
All right, Dad, that's enough.
Mr. Remley, is your father-in-law going to live with you?
Oh, yes. If Alice and I take the apartment, he'll move in with us.
You just ain't kidding, Herschel.
Mrs. Remley, your husband tells me you have a child. Where is the little one?
Oh, he's outside. I'll call our son.
Gee, it's a boy. Just what I always wanted. Tell our little boy to come in, dear.
Very well. Oh, Junior, come in a minute, dear.
Yes, son, come in here. Your father wants to talk to you.
What's on your mind, man?
Junior!
So you're Remley's son, huh? Well, don't stand there, egghead. Go over and kiss your father.
What are you trying to do, poison me?
I have a better idea, Julius. Kiss your grandfather.
Which one is my grandfather?
That one.
He looks like an old Indian.
Naturally. Don't you remember your grandpa Wanga?
Oh, of course. How could I forget that Navajo grandpa of mine? How's your blanket concession in Albuquerque, Gramps?
I wish I had my Tommy Hawk with me. I'd scrape his insides out and make a canoe out of him.
My, the boy doesn't seem to get along too well with his grandfather.
Well, he's just a smart papoose. Beat it, kid. Go back to teepee and make Grandpa buffalo meat sandwich.
How?
On bagel.
Oh, now, Junior, make up with Grandpa Harris. Go over and kiss him on his withered old cheek.
I don't want to.
Why not?
I'm liable to get my nose caught in one of his wrinkles.
Then kiss him on his elbow.
All right.
Junior, you mustn't get fresh or Grandfather will punish you.
Yeah, I'll break every bone in your body.
You do, and I'll smash every martini glass in your bar.
Martini? Mr. Harris, this housing project has very strict rules against liquor. Do you drink?
Oh, I toast a friend now and then.
He's got more friends than anybody I know. And if it happens to be a stranger, that don't stop me either.
Well, tell me, son, how about your father? Does he imbibe?
Yeah, he's got a little toaster going for him, too.
I may be jumping to conclusions, but you don't sound like an ideal family to me. I'm afraid I can't let you have the apartment.
Oh, mister, you've just got to rent us the apartment. We have no place to stay, and you can't throw us out in this freezing weather. My husband is a sickly man, and he can't stand the cold.
Maybe we could fill him up with antifreeze.
All right, leave it alone. Mister, you got to give us the apartment. I don't care about myself, but my little grandson is so frail and delicate. You can't throw this little schnook out in the street.
I'm sorry, but you're not the kind of tenants we want. Goodbye.
Please, mister, you've got to give Frankie an apartment. He has no place to stay.
Don't plead with the man, Alice. Rather than have you lower yourself to the point of begging, I'll sacrifice myself. I'll stay at your house.
Oh, no, you don't. I refuse to sleep in the same house with you, and that's final. I can't stand any more of this. You can hear Frankie snoring all the way down here.
Well, don't blame Remley. He's not used to our bed.
Of all the nerve. He takes our room, our bed, and now I have to lie here and listen to him snore.
Honey, if it bothers you so much, get up and close the flap to our tent.
This program was produced and directed by Paul Phillips. Included in today's cast were Gene Bates, Joe Kearns, and Gerald Moore.
Stay tuned for Hedda Hopper, then The Third Man on NBC.
January 7th, 1951, Phil Harris-Alice Faye. And, of course, having Elliot Lewis and Walter Tetley in the show sure don't hurt it. Coming up next, Lum and Abner on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
The protection of vital business records is always important. In case of a nuclear attack, the protection of records is essential if this country is to carry on its economy and maintain our way of life. To assist in the protection of important business records and in the continuity of business management, the Office of Civil Defense provides specific guidance to business and industry. Many industrialists are storing their duplicate records and manufacturing formulas in specially designed buildings in order to protect them against nuclear attack or natural disasters. This guidance for storage of vital records is available to business firms or industrial plants from the Office of Civil Defense, Washington, D.C., 20310.
I want to thank Eric for his generous Buy Me a Coffee over at classicradio.stream. It's buymeacoffee.com is what the website is. And, of course, I renamed, because I hate coffee, I renamed it to Buy Me a Dr. Pepper. And if you want to help, go to classicradio.stream. By the way, I want to thank whoever did some purchases of some of the merchandise this month. I don't have who it is that did it, but I know that it happened. Did I say we were going to Pine Ridge? We're not going to Pine Ridge. We're going out to the farm with Claudia and David. Catherine Bard, Paul Crabtree, starring as Claudia and David. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you tomorrow, real quick, before I get to that. Crime tomorrow, Calling All Cars, Casey Crime Photographer, Gangbusters, Bob Bailey, Virginia Gregg, and Let George Do It, and more Lum and Abner. We didn't have an episode, so I don't know if where the Lum and Abner is, but we do have Claudia. As Catherine Bard, Claudia, Catherine Bard, Paul Crabtree as Claudia and David did such a wonderful job on this daily show, 5-day-a-week show that ran for a couple of years under the sponsorship of Coca-Cola back in the days when every community of any size had a Coca-Cola bottler. And so let's go back 75 years to January 7th, 1945, and hear from Claudia.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
David, look. Come here right away and look.
Whatever it is you want me to look at, can it wait until I put on my bathrobe?
Put on your slippers, too. Come over the window and look. Come on.
I know it's still snowing. I can see it from here.
Darling, snowing is just the half of it.
Oh, all right. Here I come.
No. Look.
I don't see a thing.
That's just it. It's snowing so hard you can't see anything but snow.
This is a real fall.
Fall? What do you mean fall? This is the middle of January, and it's pouring snow like salt. Isn't it beautiful?
It must have snowed all night.
David, it looks just like a pillow had been torn apart. Why, this makes every other snow we've ever had look plain measly.
It certainly does. It must have snowed at least 24 inches since yesterday.
24 inches? 2 feet at least.
My own little mathematician. I can't even see over to Jared Tucker's house,
I know, it's falling so thick I could get lost looking for myself.
All right, come on, quick, now get dressed.
What's the big hurry?
I want to get on my train and get to the office.
On a day like today?
Why not today?
But it's pouring snow out.
Well, it'll be pouring snow out in New York, too.
Phooey on New York. Oh, well, I suppose you're right. Work comes first.
It certainly does.
Oh, darling, I love your being an architect, but sometimes I just wish you were rich instead.
You do, huh?
Then when it was warm, we could play. When it was cold, we could play. When it was snow, we could build a snowman. David, why are you standing at the window like that? You better get dressed. You'll freeze. What?
Snow is pretty deep.
24 inches in every bit of it ours.
Look at the drifts over there by the stone fence. They cover up the wall completely.
Good. I always hated walls between places. I think that's what's so wonderful about the snow. It's the great equalizer.
Like Lincoln.
No walls, no fences, no roads even. Say, can you see the road?
Hey, look up towards the barn.
Where? I don't see it.
Up there, to the right.
Oh, I see, yeah. Is that the road? Is that where the barn's supposed to be?
It certainly is.
David, it blew away in the night. It disappeared. All I can see is a drift, sort of.
And behind that drift, sort of, lies our barn.
Well, what do you know? Why, David, we can't get into the barn today.
No, we'll have to find a way. We'll have to dig a path or something.
Whee, that sounds exciting. Hey, where are you going?
Downstairs to give things a once-over.
What things? What once-over? Wait for me.
I just want to see what's happened in front of the garage and in the driveway.
Do you mean there is a possibility that we're snowed in?
Ooh, not only a possibility, but a fact.
Oh, how wonderful.
Now, stop talking nonsense. It's no fun to be snowed in,
How do you
believe
know?
me.
Have you ever been snowed in?
Well, no, but I've read it in books.
Oh, well, it's more than I have. Still, I don't think I'd mind being snowed in. I think I'd like it.
It all depends upon which way the wind was blowing.
Well, everything always depends on which way the wind is blowing, darling. Now, where are you going?
Just to look out the living room window, do you mind?
Ooh, it's cold. No, I don't mind. Say, we'll have to turn the heat up higher, darling. The house feels like an igloo.
Well, igloos are warm.
Oh, nonsense. They can't be.
Oh, mercy, just as I suspected.
We are snowed in.
There's a drift of snow in front of the garage 5 feet high. And our driveway is banked up at least 4 feet, and it'll take hours to dig that up and to get the car out.
How wonderful.
Wonderful, my eye. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, and heck, I'm going to get out of here today. There's more than I can see.
That's just it. You're not. That's why it's wonderful.
Now, listen, I can't stay here stuck in a snow pile for no reason.
Listen, the snow pile is not no reason. The snow pile is a very good reason to be stuck in.
If I'd have known about this last night.
What would you have done? Come on, tell me what you've done.
I'd have done something.
I see, something. Well, like what? Gone outside and blown at the heavens and sent the snow someplace
You're
else,
a big
I
help.
suppose?
Wonder how long it would take me to shovel my way out of here.
There are times, David, when you just have to face facts and accept them.
You give in awfully quickly, don't you?
Women know when to give in, and women know when to fight.
Yeah, big talk.
Snow is a fact, to be faced. I give in. Hey, where are you going?
Calling the town hall.
What for? They didn't make the snow.
Ever hear of a snow plow?
Oh.
I'm going to find out about when the snow plow will be coming this way.
David, you're so businesslike. What do you want to do that for?
Well, when the snow plow comes down the road, I'll catch it so it can clear out the drive, and we'll be all set.
David, it'll be days before the snowplow gets way out here.
That's what you think.
That's what I'm hoping you mean.
If necessary, I'll call George Reynolds himself and get some action.
You would use pull?
I certainly
David,
would.
aren't you ashamed?
I'm not ashamed.
Well, you should be.
And just because we live in the country and it snows a little, there's no reason why I have to stay away from my office.
All right, call George
I'm
Reynolds.
going to.
See if it'll do you any good.
Well, it will.
You know his number?
If I don't, the operator will.
Oh.
After all, he's the first select man of Eastbrook. What's the matter with this darned instrument?
David, stop shaking the receiver like that. It is not a rattle.
I don't get the dial tone.
Well, maybe there isn't one today.
There's always a dial tone.
Well, maybe today's different because of the snow. Oh, I know. Telephone lines are down, of course.
Now stop suggesting things like that.
David, telephone lines always come down the first thing when there's a storm. It's a rule of nature.
Oh.
Darling, don't you think that's what it is?
Yes, I think that's what it is.
Well, you don't have to sound so nasty about it. I didn't pull them down.
Everything but.
What does that mean?
That means that you're delighted that they're down.
Oh, no.
That you think there's a wonderful joke on me that they're
Really?
down, yes. That you're hilarious and in stitches because we're snowed in.
I am, I confess. Rock bottom, you am, too. Confess.
Who says I am?
Perfectly obvious. You wouldn't protest so much.
No.
Do you know that psychologically speaking, all this protesting is just a cover-up for your true emotions?
Well, the
Yes,
snow
actually.
has covered up everything.
Actually, you're delighted to stay home with me. It's just
I
the kind
am,
of day when a man like you likes to stay home with me. But, because you're a man who can't go to the office, it behooves you to protest. It's perfectly simple when you analyze it psychologically.
Yeah. You think you're very smart, don't you?
Yes, I think I'm very smart. Well, I bet you the trains aren't even running. David, maybe we'll be stranded for days, like hermits together. I wonder how Mama is.
Don't worry about Mama. Mama's in New York. Lucky Mama.
Say, I won't be able to phone her all day.
Yeah, sure you will. The telephone lines will be fixed fairly soon.
But if she tries to call me, she'll worry.
The operator will tell her that the lines are down.
I know, but then she'll worry even more.
Now, darling, there's no point to you worrying about Mama worrying about us. This doesn't make
Yes,
sense.
She would have to go just before a day like today. Would have been so perfect if she'd been here, too. Oh, David, why don't you kick me? How can you stand such a mama baby?
Well, turn around. I'll kick you.
I love you so, and I act like such a nincompoop.
Oh, shut up.
I love it when you tell me to shut up that way. Say it again. David, you know what this is like? It's like we're on an island with the sea all around us. No matter what happens to the rest of the world.
Yes,
But just this little while we're safe.
Well, you can't live on an island.
No, but it's nice for today. Just you and me. David, admit it. You cannot dig your way out. Can you?
Well, if I could, I would.
But you can't. Nobody could, not even you. David, I'm hearing things.
So am I.
I'm hearing bells. What are you hearing?
Doorbells. No sensible man would be out on a day like this.
Aha, but you would be if I weren't holding you back by brute force. I can't imagine who it could be except, well, whoever it is got the most terrific constitution.
Well, as I live and breathe.
Here.
Come in, hurry up before you get blown away. Come on,
Ain't
come on,
nothing
come on.
going to blow me away.
Mr. Tucker,
Something
what are you
to know
doing on a day like this?
I come out to see the Nortons.
Here, let me
What's
help
it look like? I come out to do it.
Well, is everything all right? How's Delilah? Is she all right?
Everything's tip-top, ma'am. Why all the questions?
What about your animals?
What about them?
What is it you came over about?
I didn't come over about nothing. I was just out taking a walk and figured I'd drop in and say hello.
Just taking a walk.
Do I look like I've been swimming?
David, I don't believe my ears, do you?
Or my eyes.
What's the matter, ma'am?
But how did you get here on a day like today?
I ambled on me 2 legs.
Mr. Tucker, you are quite a fellow.
I had to walk, son. Wasn't no car big and strong enough that could make the roads. Yep, when you get down to rock bottom, a man's only got his legs to depend on.
I guess you're
good
right.
Snowstorm makes you realize you can't put your faith in modern contraptions.
Is your phone broken down?
That dang instrument, it's as wishy-washy as a woman. Too much rain, blink. Too much snow, blink. Too much this, that, and that gadget poops right out. Yes, it's brass tacks that makes a man reckon with himself.
Well, I still can't get over your walking way over here. Look at you. You look like a snowman.
I sure hope I ain't messing up your house here.
You're not. Snow melts.
Give me this weather any day, I say. The kind of weather that separates the chaff from the wheat. I ain't got no fears of this kind of weather. Nope, I can bite my false teeth into it. Get a good bite of it, tussle with it, wrestle with it. It's me against whatever it is the sky has got to dish out. It's me, Jared Tucker, what wins every time.
Well, I certainly elect you champion this time.
What do you say about it, son?
No, I haven't thought of it quite in your way.
Well, think of it. Sunny weather, you depend on a car, a telephone, an electrical train. Then the world closes in on you. You can't drive your car because you can't get out of your garage. The telephone's busted, train ain't running. What you got left? Just yourself. And that's where I come in. Jared Tucker versus the weather. Keeps you alive, son. It's the tussle that keeps you alive.
I guess that's the outlook that you get when you've lived with the weather so long.
Lived with the weather so long, why, the weather and me have come to know just what we can expect of each other. And I ain't afeard. Though the weather might be. Well, guess I'll be seeing you folks.
Hey, Mr. Tucker, where are you going?
Back to Delilah before she starts worrying.
Now, listen. Your sister won't worry. She knows you better than to worry
Now,
about
listen,
you.
Women always worry. Builds them up to worry. And it belittles the man. So women always worry. Well, got to get back before she starts worrying. Thank you for the visit.
But you...
Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Think nothing of it, son. Well, I'll be seeing you.
Mr. Tucker.
You ain't got nothing better to do this afternoon. Drop on in, hey?
Oh, yes, we'll do that.
Hey, watch where you're going. Don't fall in the drift.
Oh, don't worry about me, son. I got a better nose for snow than a beagle for a rabbit. I better shut that door before you freeze.
Upon my soul and body.
I guess he's old man weather himself. David, where are you going?
Get dressed.
Dressed? What for?
I can't start shoveling our way out in pajamas and slippers, Captain.
Darling, it's hopeless. You agreed it's hopeless.
Are you hinting that I'm not the man that Tucker is?
David, come back here. You're not as young as Tucker is.
In your eyes, your youngsters are no doubt different from all others. But in some ways, all teenagers are alike. They all seem to dote on Coca-Cola. It means sociability and good times to them. If you keep plenty of Coke on ice, you'll earn the thanks of your own children and their friends as well.
Well, Joe, what do you think of that old man, Jared Tucker?
Certainly not as old as his age, David.
He certainly isn't.
Tell me, you going to get into town?
Well, I'm going to make a good stab at it. You can bet your life on that.
Well, if I were you, I wouldn't even make a stab at it.
Well, I'm not going to let Jerry Tucker show me up. I'll tell you that much.
Stop worrying about it. You see, the trains aren't running, David, so no use bucking the drifts.
Is that the real dope, Joe?
That it is, David.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll just have to sit back and enjoy the snow, I guess. Say, I wonder how soon it'll be good for skiing, Joe.
Oh, Monday, I think.
Monday, as early as that? Is that the real dope, too?
Well, you'll find out on Monday, David.
Well, tell the truth, I don't mind if I do. I'll see you then, Joe.
Knee-deep in a drift, no doubt. So long, David. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again Monday at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. The parts of Claudia and David on this program were played by Catherine Bard and Paul Crabtree. And the entire production is supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. And now, here's a word from your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola.
Well, I don't bottle Coca-Cola, but I can tell you that the old stuff was the best stuff. It really was. I just spent more money than I should have to get a old-fashioned 12-pack of Dr. Pepper made with real sugar, not with high fructose corn syrup, and it sure does taste good. Claudia, 75 years ago, January 7th, 1949, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Crime dramas tomorrow again. We will have, let's see, who is it that we have on tomorrow? Calling All Cars, Casey Crime Photographer, Gangbusters, Bob Bailey and Virginia Gregg, and Let George Do It. Yes, that is them. And Lum and Abner, that's coming up on our Monday show. Thanks to Eric and all the others who have supported us by using the Buy Me a Coffee function at classicradio.stream, and those of you who have found things worth purchasing on that page are greatly appreciated as well. A quick shout out to our friend Ted at radiomemories.com, a great supporter of our podcast. Back tomorrow here with another Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, right here on your favorite podcast app.